If you're trying to manage your blood sugar, you've probably heard it a million times. Bread, rice, potatoes, they're the enemy, right? But let's be real. These foods are a huge part of our lives. The idea of cutting them out forever? It's not just hard, it's pretty unrealistic for most of us. But here's the good news. You might not have to.
So that leaves us with this huge question. Do we really have to say goodbye to these foods for good? It can feel like this impossible choice between enjoying the meals you love and taking care of your health. And honestly, that's a frustrating place to be.
Well, let me tell you, the answer is a huge, resounding no. You can absolutely enjoy these foods. The secret isn't about getting rid of them, it's about strategy. And that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. The science-backed ways you can have your carbs and eat them too.
Okay, before we dive in, a quick but super important heads up. All this info is based on solid research, but it's for learning purposes only. I'm not a doctor, so please make sure you talk with your own healthcare provider before you make any big changes. All right, you ready? Let's get into the first secret.
Our first strategy is all about what I like to call the resistant starch secret. Now, this might be one of the most powerful tools you've never heard of. Seriously, understanding this one thing can be a total game changer.
So what on earth is it? Well, you know how most starches, like in potatoes or pasta, break down into sugar really fast? That's what gives you that big blood sugar spike. But resistant starch, like the name says, actually resists being digested. It basically sneaks past your small intestine and makes it all the way to your large intestine, where it becomes superfood for your good gut bacteria.
And this is where it gets really cool. Just look at the difference here. Regular starch, it sends your glucose soaring and can make insulin resistance worse over time. Resistant starch does the exact opposite. It feeds your gut microbiome, which then creates these amazing things called short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. And here's the magic part. This stuff actually improves your body's insulin sensitivity and calms down inflammation. So, how do we get more of it?
You're gonna love how simple this is. You just cook your food, cool it down, and then you can reheat it. When you chill cooked rice or potatoes in the fridge, something called starch retrogradation happens. Think of the starch molecules huddling together, linking arms, and changing their shape into this tight, crystal-like structure. That new structure is way tougher for your body to break down, which turns a simple carb into a powerful prebiotic fiber. It's an incredible kitchen hack.
All right, on to strategy number 2, smarter food pairing and order. Because changing the starch itself is one thing, but it turns out what you eat with your carbs and the order you eat them in can be just as powerful.
So, have you ever just grabbed a plain bagel or a handful of crackers by themselves? Some folks call that eating naked carbs. And when a carb is all alone like that, there's absolutely nothing to slow down its speedy conversion into sugar in your bloodstream. It just hits your system like a freight train.
The solution? Simple. Never let your carbs go out naked. You've got to dress them up for success. Think of protein, fat, and acid as creating a metabolic speed bump. Protein puts the brakes on the glucose response. Healthy fats slow down how fast your stomach empties. And even a little acid, like from vinegar or lemon juice, can slow down the enzymes that break down starch.
And that brings me to this number, 40%. Just let that sink in for a second. In one study, that's how much people with type 2 diabetes reduce their blood sugar spike after a meal just by changing one simple thing. They ate their carbohydrates last.
I mean, look at this. It's the exact same meal. The only thing that's different is the order. You hit that bread basket first, you're heading for a big spike. But if you eat your veggies and your protein first, they act like a buffer. By the time the carbs get to your system, the glucose is absorbed so much more slowly, and you get this nice, gentle curve instead. It's such a small change for a massive, massive payoff.
Okay, let's talk strategy number 3. This is one you can do literally the second you put your fork down, and it's incredibly effective. It's the 10-minute walk trick. So why does a quick walk work so well? Well, the secret is hiding in plain sight. It's your soleus muscle. This is a big muscle in your calf, and it's an absolute metabolic powerhouse. What makes it so special is that it can soak up huge amounts of glucose right out of your bloodstream to use for fuel, and it can do it for a long, long time without getting tired. It's a glucose-guzzling machine. And you don't need to go run a marathon. Research shows that a simple 10-minute walk taken right after you eat is enough to seriously lower your blood sugar. It's like you're activating your body's own little glucose sponges to mop up all that excess sugar. You know, even just getting up to clean the kitchen or walking up the stairs counts. It all makes a difference.
This brings us to a really big one. Strategy number 4. Not all carbs are equal. We hear cut carbs all the time. But that's not the whole story. The much smarter, more effective conversation is about carb quality.
I absolutely love this analogy. Think of carbs like fuel for a fire. Highly processed carbs, we're talking fine flour, white bread, instant anything. They're like kindling. They catch fire instantly and burn hot and fast, giving you a sharp, intense spike. But whole food carbs, like still-cut oats, beans, whole grains, they're like big, sturdy logs. They burn slow and steady, giving you sustained energy and a much gentler glucose curve.
So what's the magic ingredient that turns that kindling into a log? In a word, fiber. Fiber is what gives a carb its slow-burning power. It's exactly like this quote says. Fiber is probably the most important carbohydrate that you do not want to miss. It's the key to slowing everything down and keeping your gut happy.
All right, our fifth and final strategy is all about time. We have to talk about why meal timing matters, because it turns out your body has its own internal clock, and when you eat can be just as important as what you eat. Our bodies run on a pretty strict schedule.
You see, our insulin sensitivity, how well our body handles sugar, it's not the same 24/7. It follows our circadian rhythm. In the morning and afternoon, our bodies are primed and ready to deal with glucose. We're super efficient. But as the day wears on, into the evening and night, our insulin sensitivity naturally goes down. And get this, melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep, actually sends a memo to your pancreas telling it to chill out and produce less insulin.
So when you put all that together, the practical takeaway is simple, but man, is it powerful. We need to work with our body's clock, not against it. A fantastic rule of thumb is to try and finish your last meal of the day at least 3 hours before you go to bed. That gives your body time to process everything while it's still at its peak efficiency.
So there you have it. 5 powerful, practical strategies. Making resistant starch, dressing up your carbs, changing your food order, taking that post-meal walk, and timing your meals. They all work, and they work even better when you combine them. The power is literally in your hands. So the only question left is, which one of these are you going to try first?